Briar, thank you very much for
Hey,
being with me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, what was your kind of musical beginnings? I mean, when did you maybe start thinking seriously about?
Seriously contemplating it?
Yeah.
The songwriting came later, but the first sort of taste of performance I had was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat with Donny Osmond when I was 9 years old. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so, I was playing for like however many hundred people came to that show when it sold out. It was like the biggest deal in 1995. So that was like kind of like my first sort of introduction to it. And then I kept doing theater, and then later on I decided to do music just to sort of get some thoughts out of my own. And then it was like 8th grade, last day 8th grade, my best friend's backyard. We were like in a band. It was called the Basement Heroes, and like all our friends came, and it was a huge party. And I was like, "Yep, this is what I got to do. Got to do it, man."
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, see, I read about your theater background. I mean,
Yeah.
did you pursue that at all beyond the
Joseph.
Yeah.
Beyond my Joseph. I retired early. I was 10 by the end of it, and I just retired. I did a bit of theater here and there. I did like this Christmas show with the Grand Ole Opry for a little while, but really like I just stuck to high school, schools-related stuff after like 8th grade. I was in a bunch of plays then, but it's funny. I was actually in a bunch of plays with the dude who plays keys for Bruno Mars.
Nice.
So like we were both in Godspell, and it was really funny to like see how like it all sort of turned out. But so I did theater. I enjoy theater, and like I hope that one day I can be famous enough to just try to sell tickets with my name on Broadway.
I'm sure.
Be like, hey, do you not want to do all the work and just like come be in ragtime on Broadway? I would love that situation. But yeah.
Cool. Well, I understand you have a famous uncle.
I do.
And how much influence did he have on your musical career at all? Or I mean, did you learn anything from him specifically?
I learned, for those of you who don't know, my uncle's B.B. King. He and my aunt have been friends for decades, and I learned more or less just the gentlemanliness from him. I think I picked up a lot of live antics from him.
Okay.
I mean, when I play blues guitar, like you can obviously tell where my influences sort of come from. But more than that, I just kind of learned being a gentleman and presenting a show, and sort of that idea. Because I mean, what you'll realize is like a lot of people listen to B.B. King and whatever, but like people still go to his shows. Like he still plays, 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And he has been for the past 60 years. So it's like one of those things where like obviously he's doing something right live, and I think that like watching those shows so closely for me really made an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw him last year down at Riverbend here in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I was literally as close to him shooting him on stage as I am to you now.
Wow.
I mean, he's smiling at everybody, just having a great old time.
He cares.
Yeah, he does.
He cares.
He really does.
He cares about everybody, because he told me once at a young age, he said, everybody who comes to there's always going to be one person in my audience who's never heard me play.
Yeah.
And I got to give my all for that.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, that's insane, There are people who have like half the career accolades he has who like retired decades ago. You know what I mean? For sure.
So tell me about your new album, From Your Bones. It was just released very recently.
Yeah, it was released a week ago yesterday. So get it on
nice.
iTunes or Amazon or whatever you guys do. But yeah, this was like, I finally hit my stride. I was writing for a really long time, and I kind of hit like this wall, and then I broke through the wall, and this is sort of what came out of that. And I feel like I reached a level of intellectual complexity on some level that was sort of always in my music, like the attention to detail, the writing as a craft, but also like the emotion of it too. So I think I finally got those two horses like saddled up together, and now I can kind of ride it. So
I mean, when you write, I mean, do you sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna write some lyrics, or
I'm either
you just
riding
wait for it to come to you?
I ride my bike or I drive.
Okay.
To be quite honest, things come to me in phrases. I could be with an amazing woman and feel like this impulse to write something, and like she'll run to the bathroom and I'm like, I mean that's literally how one of my songs Indian Summer came. It was just like a short, stupid little poem, and I just like typed it in my phone as fast as I could. Or like sometimes when I'm driving, I think it's like the procrastinator in me. It's like when I actually can't and don't have time to sit down and write, or when it's not conducive to sit down and write. I mean, even driving down to Nashville, I was like, such and such and so and so, and blah 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 blah. And I keep driving, and I'm like, oh, and so and so and so, and blah blah blah, and I just kept writing lyrics and talking lyrics into my phone. And so that's kind of how a lot of that comes to be. And then I put it all in a journal. And then, you know, when I sit down with my guitar, play some stuff, hang out, and then, you know, maybe a melody will come to me, and then I can kind of piece it all together, sort of like I think St. Vincent said it best. She was like, I take twigs, and then I build a nest when I get home. So that was kind of cool.
Awesome. I mean, do you have any interests outside of music? I mean, I know a lot of musicians, they're always thinking about music or writing or playing.
Sure.
Do you do anything in your downtime?
I like girls. No, I mean, I do. I like cooking. I like reading. I like hanging out.
Yeah.
I'm actually really interested in the business of it all too. I went to I went to music school for business actually too.
Nice.
So I was recording and performing and all that stuff, but I was also studying the business of it. And to me, the idea of how do I put this? Like, there's creativity in promoting a band.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of creativity, and I like that too as well. So I have other interests.
Yeah.
World Cup 2014 is coming up.
Yep.
I'm gonna be awake for that. Whenever I don't even know where it is this year, but I remember South Africa. I was like showing up to like my job at like 7:30 in the morning with the prep cooks, like watching soccer. Like, you don't work till 2, and I was like, you have a TV.
Oh, that's great. What have been some of your like highlights in your career? I mean, I know you're still fairly young, but does anything stand out to you?
I mean, it's always cool to show up and like run into a whole bunch of people. Like, you know, the article in the paper you got, that's really cool, and like that's super awesome. Or like, you know, playing Midpoint Music Fest, if we're going to talk about Cincinnati.
Oh, sure.
You know, just like those festivals, those moments, you know, those little pieces of press where like magazines and articles you didn't think you would ever be able to be in, like American Songwriter say like cool things about your band. But like a lot of the moments for me as a songwriter come from like off stage. You know, I step off stage and like some burly dude who's like 250 pounds and is like, hey man, I cried during your set. Or like wants to like talk about like a lyric that I made. And you know, like that's the rewarding part. When people sit there and they're just like, that line and that song changed. Like that's really the highlight, you know? Because I mean, everything else is taking or leaving, but you know, like those moments are really the biggest ones.
Yeah. I know the internet has pretty much kind of changed the music business.
Sure has.
Compared to it has even in the early 90s. I mean, you've obviously embraced it, but how do you feel how it's changed the music industry? I mean, a lot of record companies are kind of fighting it. Not so much anymore, but
I feel as though a change has come. Like, there are no more gatekeepers, right?
Yeah.
So in some element, it used to be, you're really good at your craft, you're really good at what you do, move to Nashville, move to New York, move to LA, and just be good. Because people are actively out seeking people who are good.
Yeah.
I think now people have margins and numbers, and there's like semi-quasi numbers that you can have, like Facebook likes are important, or you know, Twitter followers are important, or whatever. I think it's easy to kind of bridge the gap between people. I've met almost everybody who I've toured with this tour: Austin Living Good, Suki Conley, you know, Milk and Eggs, like Kira Foboda. Like, these are all bands that I found on Twitter, and I think to me, Twitter's the coolest thing in the world because you can connect to people who you normally wouldn't be able to connect to, and sort of see what they're doing and sort of see their town and all that stuff. So to me, I think being able to get the music out to people is great, but you still have the tastemakers, you still have the blogs, you still have, you know, you still have to go through sort of those channels. But I think now what we're looking at as a music industry is everything's a la carte. You know, Macklemore proved that, right? Like, you can have a booking agent, you can have a manager, you can have a publicist. You know, before it was like, I hope I get signed, because then you get signed and like, you know, you get that fat check, and then you're like, and here's your manager, and here's your publicist, and here's your booking agent. And now you can just kind of do it all a la carte, and that's kind of cool too. So you can outsource and sort of do a lot of those things. So I think it's good. I mean, I think everybody's slowly sort of changing and adapting, and I think I'm young enough to the point where it was already in motion as I started. I wasn't one of those guys who got signed the traditional way, and then now has to deal with this whole shuffle. So I think I lucked out in that respect.
Very cool. So where can we find out more about you and your music and tour dates and all that?
We can always briarrabbit.net is the homepage. So hang out there. I got a blog over there. I write stuff. If you really want to know what I'm thinking most of the time, you can follow me on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram. If you follow me on Facebook, Briar Rabbit Music. Briar_Rabbit at Twitter and Instagram. Keep up with me. I respond to almost everything. So
very good.
Let's hang out.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I try to subscribe to a life that's not mine. I was serving purposes that don't serve me. Where your head goes here, but your heart goes there. Between will never meet. 'Cause if they did, you might fly higher, yeah. You might catch fire. Why am I invisible when I'm not putting on the show? Why do I see myself through all these eyes? They're not my own. No, they're not my own. Some days I wonder if it shows. See, I caught myself mid-escape from a feeling of fate. Little voice that don't stop talking till it seems what's on the other side. What happens if I really try? The little traitor turned his volume up. He took the fader. Why am I invisible if I'm not putting on a show? Why do I see myself through all these eyes? They're not my own, not my own. Well, I asked my sister if it showed. She said, like an emperor without clothes. I got this bottle of success on the shelf, and it's just corked with patience. My shaking hands begging me just celebrate. But in my right mind, I'm just waiting on the right occasion to seize. Oh, to seize. 'Cause I feel so invisible if I'm not putting on a show. Yeah, I feel so invisible. I'm not putting on a show. Thanks. Thank you. So we're doing pretty well, right? Yeah. I always brag about Cincinnati, to be quite honest. I played Midpoint Music Fest, which is where I met Gail. Gail's the shit if you guys don't know her. Gail came out to my show in Indiana, and then she came out here, so that's always a bonus. But what I was gonna say is Cincinnati's a real music town. People are like you guys are quiet, you know. You go to Milwaukee and you're like, can I hear myself? And people are just like, it's a rock town. They don't really want to hear all these feelings. So basically, when you write a record, let's back up. When you write a song, you have an emotion, right? You get in a fight with somebody and you're just like, oh man, emotion. So you write this song and you kind of get it out and it's good, right? After you get this song out, then you have to record it. And you're like, okay, I'm still kind of pissed. I can record this. And then they're like, all right, now do vocals. There's a dark room down the hallway. I'm going to be over here. You just sit with your feelings in there and just let it all out. And you're like, all right, it's getting kind of depressing. And then they're like, all right, now we're going to turn knobs for the next 6 months so you can listen to it over and over and over again. And then you have to tour it, and it's kind of just a big old waste of energy. And so I decided that since I have to tour this really sad record, I'm going to write a song, put it out in the ether, what it would look like to meet somebody that I'd be really happy to meet. So I haven't met this woman yet, but I hope I do. She might be here tonight. I'm not really sure. I hope she is. She wasn't here in Nashville, but you know, maybe I'll have better luck further north. Just putting it out there, you know. And then they say law of attraction, just like put it out into the universe and get back to you. Anyways. So yeah, this song's called Stay. Apparently a lot of people write songs called Stay. You were the round-faced woman with the curly hair. I closed my eyes and you were everywhere. Never thought that I was the type to have a type. But you sang so sweet, I could barely breathe, let alone speak. Please pardon me, I was glad, terrified that night. There were the stops and I thought when I got kicked off the train, I was so ready to walk, and then in you came, oh lover, stay and turn gray. Oh, it's been a while, you know me inside out. It's hard to think of a life without you. I still get starry-eyed from time to time. But I got dreams, don't let me forget that miserable men are measured in regret. So it's best to live your life with that in mind. You press your chin to my chest as you look up at me, and I can't think of a love that came so easily. Oh lover, stay and turn gray. If I learned anything in my romantic past, it was lover now in case it don't last. And if it does, that'll be the reason why. 'Cause you're one hell of a muse. Oh yeah, you whispered my heart without a leash or a chain. Now it stays in the yard and hardly ever complains. Oh lover, stay. Oh lover, stay. Oh lover, stay and turn gray. This song's called Bothered No More. I don't know. Have you guys ever had the experience where like somebody in like your older like history said something really great to you, like, and it always just stuck with you, like, you know, your teacher was just like, you're really good at math, and you're like really proud of that? No? Like a coach or anything? Nobody's ever said anything good with you that stuck with you? Yeah. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. See, this is like back and forth. We're in a church. Come on. It's a little call and response here. This song is about the opposite of that, when somebody says something really shitty that sticks with you. Well, it's been a minute. Whoa, shit, that's my key. It's been a minute or two since I've thought about you. The idea of us feels hypothetical. Moments we shared that were broken repair. They carry no weight. They carry no water. It took me a while to see what you did to me. I carried your words in my head for a century, till I looked down and I found they were still there. But I can't bring myself to be bothered no more. See, I was distracted and proud, I kept everything loud. No wonder I missed the sound of a burglary, losing my mind over my misplaced pride. Who thought I could find it in your bony fingers? It took me a while. See what you did to me, I carried your words in my head for a century, till I looked down and I found they were still there. But I can't bring myself to be bothered no more. Well, I'm sorry I wasted my time with bricks on my spine. They make terrible company. Dear, your burden's been long on your back, and realizing that, oh, it brought me right back. Took me a while to see what you did to me. I carried your words in my head for a century, till I looked down and I found they were still there. This is as close as I get to checking in. I hope you're alright, and I hope you're still breathing. But this is as close as I get to checking in. I hope you're alright, and I hope you're still breathing. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. I'd like to thank my friend Debbie for coming out. We met like a year ago at a coffee shop. I was like playing here, and then I like showed up probably hungover at a coffee shop the next morning, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be nice and friendly. I'm a morning person." And I was like, "Cool, awesome." And then we kept in touch, and she came to a show, so that's kind of rad. Now is the therapeutic part of the show, the therapy part of the show, not for you so much as it is for me. My personal stance, because you only get to stand on a stage every so often. In my case right now, it's every night, and just sort of proclaim, your side of the story. But I think relationships tend to go south when people stop communicating with each other. You don't have to agree, but generally it's just like if you don't talk about your shit, it festers and it's bad. To the woman in the blue coat, I'm really sorry. There were some really uplifting songs at the beginning of the set, and you kind of came in during the sad bastard portion, but I promise we're going to get back to like the happy. I won't leave you in this. You will leave not as blue as your coat. You see what I'm saying? You feel me? Awesome. Cool. This song's called Bad Blood. Oh, my love, she always talks, but she don't always use her lips. Sometimes she talks with her hands, and some nights she talks with her hips. But lately I don't understand, 'cause her messages often conflict. Everything's fine is promptly undermined by a cold, stiff goodnight kiss. So tell me where to go. When the bad blood starts to flow. Gave it to her. Take inside of her home. It was more like a ball and a chain, with a warden whose kisses were stone. So if I got it stuck in my brain that I love you forever,